Hello everyone, welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. We don't do speculative information here. We just stick to the facts. I do these weekly reviews and it's based off my interests. Make sure you're subscribed and turn those notification bells on so that way when I'm live or when I have an early release show, you're in the know. And don't forget to smash the like button so others like yourself can find us. That's how you found us, probably by a notification of a suggested video. Last week we filmed from the Antique Machinery Show. I don't do that often, but I really enjoy that show and I wanted to share with all of you my experiences there, and it was a little fun for me to do the news that way. It was very hard because of all the noise and the internet connection, but we made it through. We're back in the studio this week, so don't forget to see my final closing statements this week. I have a lot to say. But first, let's take a look at this week's headlines. As I've said in the prior weeks, that Iraq has a lot of laws that need to be implemented. Baghdad Magazine News reports today, Friday, that the representative of the State of Law Parliamentary Bloc, Faraz al-Maslawi, reveals laws to be enacted in Parliament in the coming period, while confirming that the vote on advisory office law and the amendment of the private university education law is imminent. Al-Maslawi says that the priority of presidency of Parliament and the House of Representatives is to legislate laws sent by the government, and in the second stage come to proposals for laws and committees. He explains Parliament's committee decides that the proposal and amendments of law sent to the government should be in the way that touches the lives of citizens, and I agree. He adds that among the important laws that Parliament intends to legislate after the arrival of its draft is the oil and gas law, stressing that there is a parliamentary and a governmental will to legislate it in a manner that preserves justice in the distribution of wealth. He pointed out that Parliament's determination to support valuable segments with regards to small and income generated projects as the law has been approved and has become effective. It's in addition to information law, and it is very important and is concerned with electronic extortion. He pointed out that the informatic law aims to protect everyone, contrary to what was circulated in the media. This is a restriction of freedom, noting that Parliamentary Security and Defense Committee is working to complete this law. He points out that there is a trend among political blocs and forces to form legal committees aimed at taking the initiative and enacting laws that directly affect the lives of the citizens, noting that the government has withdrawn 9 laws, most notably the laws that of random homes that is waiting to send them to Parliament and vote on them. Al-Maslawi stated that the House of Representatives is moving towards legislating and amending laws related to the sector of agriculture, industry, and water resources, as well as the education and higher education, noting that the Higher Education Committee will soon vote on a consulting office law and efforts to amend Law 25 of the private university education, which pertains to private universities, in addition to amending Law 40. Shafaq News reports Iraq is moving rapidly to complete work on projects to repair oil's largest oil refinery, which was severely damaged during the war with ISIS 7 years ago. Shafaq Oil and Gas said today that the report quoted Iraqi Oil Ministry official Haman Yunus as saying that the Beji refinery has suffered more than 90% of damages during the conflict, and we are racing against time to finish the rehabilitation work and expect it to be completed before the end of next year. The report pointed out that the Beji refinery was producing about a third of refining capacity in Iraq before it was severely damaged during the war with ISIS in 2014. The project was launched in May, where it is expected to be completed by the end of 2024, and that the refinery will be in its pre-war production level of 120,000 barrels per day. According to the refinery directory, Anan Hamid, the first phase of rehabilitation projects include debris removal, while the second phase will begin this year and include maintenance, construction, and operation. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, confirmed what was reported by Shafaq News Agency regarding the recovery of equipment and devices stolen from the Beji refinery in Saleh al-Din Governorate. The sincere efforts helped the government recover the stolen materials and equipment from the Beji refinery that caused it to be disabled, which are materials, equipment, and devices that could cost millions of dollars, and if it's ordered, it would take a long time to manufacture them. Al-Sudani has said that he has come to talk after the government source familiar with the matter told Shafaq News Agency on Wednesday morning that the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, announced during his current visit to Beijing district to return the stolen materials for its oil refinery. The director of the Beji refinery told Shafaq News that al-Sudani returned the stolen equipment during the war with ISIS and inspected several pilot projects to return the refinery to the regional lead. Beji refinery is the largest oil purification and processing complex in Iraq, established in July 1978, and produces a third of the production of oil refineries. The refinery is located in Saleh al-Din province, about 130 kilometers north of Baghdad and in the middle of the road leading from Baghdad to Mosul. In production's capacity, it is 15 million tons per day of oil's derivatives, and the refining capacity is 310,000 barrels per day. ISIS took control of Beji refinery on June 24th, 2014, but the Iraqi armed force managed to retake the refinery from the group on October 16th, 2015. Situations are heating up in Iraq. Shafaq News reports NATO announced today that it will take on additional missions in Iraq, including advisory and capacity building roles in support of forces of the Iraqi Interior Ministry and the Federal Police Command. This came amid ambiguity surrounding the reasons why the United States of America has strengthened its military force on the Iraqi-Syrian border amid information indicating a possible battle in the region. During the past days, the U.S. forces have brought military reinforcement, including vehicles and soldiers on the Syrian border, coming from Iraqi sites towards the city of Al-Qaim near the border of Al-Buq-Amul along the Euphrates River. The international coalition forces led by Washington also conducted military exercises involving warplanes at the request of the Iraqi authorities and by a decision of NATO Council on Thursday. The scope of the alliance mission in Iraq will also include advisory and capacity building missions to support the Iraqi Ministry of Interior and Federal Police Command. The alliance said in a statement translated by Shafaq News that NATO explains this additional activity will be carried out in integration with support also provided by other countries and international organizations, stressing at the same time that all NATO activities are carried out at the request of Iraq with full respect for sovereignty and territorial integration of the country. The commander of operations, Solid Resolves, in command of the Joint Task Force in Iraq and Syria, U.S. General Matthew McFarland, revealed on Thursday that the coalition was monitoring of threats led by groups in Iraq on social media platforms which threatened the basis of the international military missions were targeted. And on Thursday, the U.S. Ambassador to Baghdad, Elena Romanovsky, commented on the reason for her recent tour of the Iraqi politicians and announced that Washington was ready to help Baghdad in the water files with the upstream countries. She also indicated that Iraq's adoption of legitimate banking systems guarantees the stability of the dollar exchange rate. Shafaq News went on to report that the U.S. Treasury Department announces Thursday that Iraq's holding of bonds rose to about $33 billion after a series of declines that spun for 4 months in a row. The Treasury says in the latest schedule that Iraq's acquisition of U.S. Treasury bonds for the month of June 2023 increased by $300 million to reach $33 billion from $32.7 billion during the previous month, indicating that these bonds increased by 3.12% from the same period in 2022, when Iraq's possession of bonds amounted to $32 billion. In the Arab world, Saudi Arabia is at the forefront of the most possession countries, reaching $108.1 billion, and the UAE comes in second with $65.2 trillion, then Kuwait third, then Iraq fourth. Shafaq News went on to report the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Ali Al-Awlaq. He announced that the federal government owes the bank a financial amount of 50 trillion dinars, stressing that the continuation of pursuing hard currency smugglers the dollars abroad. Ali Al-Awlaq says in a statement to journalists and to media that there is tendency for the dollar to get inside airports through outlets for sober companies. On the cost of printing the Iraqi currency, and bank governor says that it costs 5 to 6 cents per card, adding that it is not a sovereign fund in light of the current budget deficit. He added that the central bank is asking for $46 trillion, 30 of which are in the previous government headed by Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazimi. Ali Al-Awlaq denies talking about the entry of 14 foreign banks into Iraq and said that this is incorrect, noting that the banks have correspondent banks, that they have their statuses intact, officials, and easy with foreign transfers. He also stressed that the upcoming trend is to eliminate spectators in the parallel markets, rejecting security treatment of traders with arrest and insults, describing it as completely unacceptable. The governor of the Central Bank of Iraq stressed Saturday that they are fighting a great battle to remove illegal groups and seize hard currencies. Regarding the country's possession of previous yellow metals, he says that there's a future for gold, and Iraq has come with 132 tons. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, leave a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. Here are a few steps Iraq needs to accomplish during the end of this year, going into the next season for Iraq and their upcoming elections. And during the election times, we need to see things like the oil and gas law implemented. We need to see the project to delete 3 zeros. We want to see the launch of the private sector. We want to see economic reforms. We want to see banking reforms. We want to see important international laws implemented. We want to see taxes and tariffs at the border. We also want to see Iraq build their country up. These are just a few of the things that I want to see for Iraq. I also want to let my following know that I do not believe in any 800 numbers, so be careful of who you're listening to in regards to your exchange of the Iraqi dinar. I also want to let you know that I will be exchanging my currency inside of a bank or a wealth management office with a licensed international currency exchanger. I believe that the reinstatement of the Iraqi currency will be a very viral event that will be held on all media platforms across the world. So careful to who you're sharing your information with that holds the Iraqi currency. Aware that I have never been asked to sign any NDA when cashing in any currency at a bank. I've been to many countries. I've never once been asked to sign an NDA. I believe that this is misleading in my opinion. Some of these things should be drawing major red flags to you guys. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar news. I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.